Hi everyone, we're going to go ahead and work on our test review 2 for Algebra 1. I'm just going to go through these questions, a speed run you could say, and I'm going to go through all my reasoning. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys, okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and go through question number 1. It says find the slope of the line, okay? So the question is find the slope, and the slope is the rise and run between these 2 points. The rise is -1, and the run is +1. So our slope is rise over run. So our rise is -1 over 1, +1 is -1. That's our slope. Easy peasy. Now, what if you wanted to do this using the points? The points here are 0, 1 and 1, 0. And if I have a slope equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, we just plug in the points x1, y1, x2, y2, 0 minus 1 over 1 minus 0. That's going to be -1 over 1, which is still -1. So both these are absolutely valid. If they just give you the points, and we'll see that later in a little bit, we have to use this formula here. But if, of course, they give us the graph, we can just count our rise and run. Easy peasy, okay? And the slope tells us how much the graph is changing, the rate at which my graph is changing. And if you can see, hey, if I'm losing money, see how that's a -1? That means I'm losing money. Oh my gosh, my stocks are dying, okay? All right, let's go to the next question. As you can see, given the point, find the slope. Now they gave us 2 points here. I'm going to use y1 minus y2, so x1, y1, x2, y2. Doesn't matter which one you call 1 and 2. Nope. So I'm going to say 10 minus -1 over 1 minus 6. Again, the formula is the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Why do we say y is on top? Is because remember we say rise. It's rise over run. Yes, they could have said run over rise. They could have done that. But everyone has agreed that rise is defined by your vertical change divided by horizontal change. Rise over run. And we end up with, this is a plus, negative is a positive. That's going to be 11 over 1 minus 6 is -5. I'm getting 11 over -5 or -11 over 5. Let me double check that. Yep. So if I wanted to just graph these points for you, you don't have to. Please don't do it if you don't have to. So here is 6, -1, and my first point is 110. Now, if you can see, graph is going down, isn't it? And it's going down at a rate of -11 over 5. Okay, next round, given the slope and the y-intercept of a line here. So they want the slope and the y-intercept. And we have a formula for slope and y-intercept that's called slope-intercept form. Y equals to mx plus b. Now, if you remember, the miracle about this is because y is alone. If I can get y as alone, you automatically have m next to x and b by itself. So we're going to get y alone here. In this case, we have to get rid of the 10 and the 3. So let's do opposite operations to ask these people to leave our room. Plus becomes a minus. Whoops. So we're minus 3x to both sides. And then we're also going to get rid of the -10. We're going to add 10 to both sides. So y is equal to -3x plus 10. Okay, how did I do that again? I got rid of the 3 by subtracting to both sides, and then I got rid of the 10 by adding 10 to both sides. Now that we have our slope-intercept form, mx plus b, we can see that the m is going to be -3 next to x. M is always next to x, and 10 is always by its lonely self. It's in y-intercept is by itself, no variable. It's not changing. Okay? X is changing, but not b. B is our constant y-intercept. Math works out so nicely. This problem is already set up for you, given the slope and the y-intercept of the line. So that's my y-intercept or slope, and my y-intercept or slope. Y is equal to mx plus b, our m value and our b value. Okay, our slope is 7 and our y-intercept is 1. Easy peasy, that's it. We're just copying it over. Some free, easy problems. But you're only at this point if it's easy for you because you've been working on this like literally for a month and a half. That's why it might be easy for you. Some of you guys still don't know your multiplication tables. So math is really hard. So we'll find the slope and y-intercept, same type of question, except we need to do some more work here. We're solving for y. Why did I say y? Because y equals to mx plus b, and it gives me everything we want. We want the slope and the y-intercept. So let's solve for y. We have to get rid of the 9x, 8 and we have to get rid of this 2. So let's get rid of everything else but 2 first. 2y is equal to, move the 8 over and move the 9 over. That's going to be negative 9x plus 8. Now I can get rid of the 2 by division, dividing by 2. Now you got to show work for this. Some people are not showing work, so I think you're cheating because look at all the work I show. They're doing like 4 different moves in their head, and they're doing fractions. I'm like, negative 9 over 2 and 4. Okay, so if you're not showing the work, I can't give you the credit. Even this amount of work is perfect because it shows me what you're thinking in your brain. So once we get slope-intercept form, this is an easy way for us to look for the y-intercept, the slope and the y-intercept. Fabulous. If you need help, remember there's also a video, and you can also do this problem multiple times as you want. Now, this table here looks a little confusing, but it's really just asking you what is the slope and the y-intercept of each of these problems here. So let's go take a look. So if x is equal to 4, do we have a slope? So that's, if I want to show you the graph is x equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a vertical line. There is no slope. So there is no slope. And also there's no y-intercept. So we don't write 0, we write something called D and E. D and E. And how did I know to write D and E? It's actually in the directions. If a slope or an intercept does not exist, write D and E instead. So that's the trick here. You want to write D and E on it. What's my slope and y-intercept here from the next question here? Slope is always next to the x. Always next to the x. And the the vertical intercept, the y-intercept, is always by itself. That's negative 7. Okay, this next problem here is not set up. That isn't in slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and solve for y. Y is equal to, or negative 6. Y is equal to 5x plus 10. I added 10 to both sides and divide both sides by 6. Y is equal to, negative 6. Oh my gosh, that's a negative. So I'm going to rewrite this as y is equal to negative 5 over 6x minus 5 over 3, because I reduced. So my slope is negative 5 over 6, and my y-intercept is negative 5 over 3. So you have to rewrite this sometimes to get slope-intercept form, just like what we did in our last problems. Next question is kind of a trick question. If I ask you graph y is 9 divided by 2, that's going to be up here. That's 4.5. The slope for this is y is equal to 0x plus 9 over 2. So since there is no slope, we put a 0, and the y-intercept is 9 over 2. That's our y value. The next question is somewhat of a trick question again. I don't have a b value, so that's a 0. And the slope is negative 3 over 8. So this is looking at almost every type of question that we might see when it comes to graphing lines. And rewriting it in slope-intercept form, so we can find the slope and the y-intercept in a fairly fast manner. Okay, the next question is, go ahead and write the equation of the graph. I'm going to write y is equal to mx plus b. That's usually the easiest one given a graph. Let's take a look. The b value is the y-intercept, and that looks like negative 2. The slope is described as rise over run. So to get from this point to an easy point, we can pick this point right here. It looks pretty easy. It looks like a nice point right between two lines. The rise is up 1 over 1. The rise is 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So y is equal to m is 1, x minus 2. We're just copying our values back into the equation. This is not new. We've been doing this for about a month and a half now. You're just demonstrating me your proficiency at it. How well can you do these problems? Now, are these questions SAT problems? Yes, you might see these questions as a SAT problem, but they would be considered like level 1 problems, easier questions. So they don't expect you to spend more than 30 seconds on them. And hopefully you guys are getting a lot better at it. So again, write the equation. They want us to write it in point-slope form and then solve it to slope-intercept form. Well, if they just want slope-intercept form, we can just do that. Slope-intercept form, here's my b value is 2. And my next, that's not a nice value. Nope, that's not nice. That's not nice. Oh, this is a nice one right here. Let's climb it. Let's crawl down to it. Negative 1, 2, 3, run 2. My slope is negative 3 over 2. Y is equal to mx plus b. Y is equal to negative 3 over 2x plus 2. Now, if I want to do this following using point slope form, I could. If I say y minus y1 is equal to m, x minus x1, my slope is still going to be negative 3 over 2. And my x and y point, I can pick this one. That's going to be 0, comma 2. My x is 0, my y is 2. 2 and 0. We can rewrite this as y minus 2 is equal to negative 3 over 2, x minus 0. Since 0 doesn't matter, it's negative 3 over 2x. If I add 2 to both sides, get rid of the 2, y is equal to negative 3 over 2x plus 2. Tell me if I'm going too fast. Remember, this is just a review, and you can always come back and watch the video. But do let me know if I am going too fast and you want me to repeat anything. I'm just trying to get through all 22 questions. Remember, your final is actually only 16 questions, okay? So I'm going to even have less time, which is fine. Okay, graph the two lines on the grid below. Here we go. So y is equal to, my m value is negative 7 over 4, and my b value, there is no b value. Yay, that's 0 right there. Climb negative 7, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Run is 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens is you're going to go ahead and pick the line, and then once you pick the 2 points, it will graph it automatically for you. Excellent. Our next equation is graphing at 1. My b value is 1. My m value is 4 over 7. So I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, run 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see if I can get this right. Hey, good enough. I fudged it a little bit, but good enough. Now they actually have a follow-up question, part 2. Are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, for sure they're not parallel. And are they perpendicular or neither? We had a special rule for perpendicular lines. Lines are perpendicular if the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So if one slope is 4 over 7, that's not a 7. 4 over 7, then the next slope would be negative 7 over 4. Right? Negative 7 over 4. So is that true? Take a look at my two slopes. Are they negative reciprocals of each other? They apparently are. And you can take a look here. They are perpendicular from each other. They do form a right angle. They are perpendicular. Okay, so there's a couple of multiple parts of this. Being able to graph the line, then describe if the lines are parallel or perpendicular. Okay. This one is just, of course, just graph the line. Y is equal to mx plus b. They tell us specifically that m is negative 3. And our b value is 3. So just put dot 3. Slope is negative 3 over 1. Remember, there's always an invisible 1 for the slope. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And then we have a line. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. Here we go. Come on, buddy. You can do it. And come on, let's go. Yeah, something like that. But the cool thing about this this website, of course, you click the two lines and it graphs it for you automatically. All right, so this one here is a little tricky, but it's just creating a table like they asked us to way back when at the beginning of the chapter. We're going to pick an x value, pick a y value. And it doesn't matter which x value you pick. Pick any value you want. We can pick 0, 1, and 2 if I want. So if I plug in 0, y is equal to negative 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Plug in 1, y is equal to negative 1 minus 3 equals to negative 4. Y is equal to 2, negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. So negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. And we're going to graph those lines, graph those points. We only need actually 2 points, 0, negative 3. And our y value is going to be negative 1. So 1, negative 4. And we have a line here. So hopefully you guys have a lot of experience where you can just blow through these problems, and you've been working very hard to understand how to do Algebra 1. Once you get Algebra 1 done, the rest of Geometry and Algebra 2 are easy, okay, compared to Algebra 1. Okay,
So
this one looks...
this semester is Algebra 1?
This is the first half of Algebra 1. We're going to do the second half of Algebra 1 in the second part.
Okay.
But once we finish all of Algebra 1 is usually like the biggest hurdle for kids in math. Like, they just don't understand X, and they don't understand steps. You do step 1, then do step 2, then step 3. Kids just do things out of order. It's almost like you guys all eat dessert first before you eat your main meal, right? Oh, I like going out of order. But in math, when you go out of order, you mess up stuff. If you try turning on your car out of order, if you just try to get the shifter to drive or reverse and then turn on the engine, it actually is not going to work. You'll just be like, hey, it's broken. So m here is going to be 1 over 3. I know it's written a little funny. And our b is -1. I'm not sure. I think the programmer messed up here. They didn't write it as an equation. Well, the computer's not reading it as an equation. But it's this, never, whatever, ignore me. Okay, but that should write it as an equation. So -1, and the slope is -1 over 1, 2, 3, over here. Bam, that's it. That's all they want you. Super easy. Okay. Okay, find the x-intercept. So this was a tricky one if you forgot how to do it. Oh my gosh. Oh, I know what happened. It's my fault, I think. Let me go delete this and go ahead and come back into the... Let me hit refresh and try again. I don't think it ended up loading it. Okay, whoops. Excuse me there. Oh, come on, come back here. I think it was just me, not the program. Yeah, come on, it looks better, looks better. Yes, it does look better. All right, so just the website didn't load right. Okay, so we're gonna graph using our x and y interface. X-intercept and y-intercept. Now, if you remember the x-intercept and y-intercept, maybe give us a hint here. The x-intercept is when y is 0. So if y is 0, what is your x value going to be? Divide by -4? Oh my gosh, it's a bit terrible. X is equal to -3. So it's -3. If I want to solve for our y-intercept, we make x 0. If you guys remember this. To solve for our y-intercept, we make x 0. And we just solve for y. Divide by -6 to both sides. Y is equal to 12 divided by -6 is -2. And then we're going to graph this. 3, 0. This is 3, comma 0. And it looks a little funny there. 3, 0. And this is -2. Oh, 0, -2. 0, -2. We have our line. And this is also a super fast way for us to graph equations. We mentioned that this was our standard form. And with standard form, we can just plug in zeros and find the intercepts. X-intercept and y-intercept. Okay, this problem is exactly the same idea. You can either solve for y equals mx plus b or graph it using zeros. So let's do the zero part. If I make x 0, y has to be 6 times 5. If x is 0, y is 0, that's 0, comma 5. If I make y 0, x is 2, right? So 2, comma 0. That's our intercept, 2, 0. We have a graph of the line. Now, what if I want to graph it using slope-intercept form? 100% okay too. You can rewrite this as y equals mx plus b. 15x plus 6y equals to 30. If I'm solving for y, what numbers do I have to get rid of? I have to get rid of the 15 to both sides. And then we're going to get rid of the 6 right afterwards. Y is equal to -15x plus 30. Then divide both sides by 6, by 6, by 6. Y is equal to -15 over 6. We can reduce that to be 5 over 2. X plus 5. Y-intercept is 5, and the slope is -5 over 2. Y-intercept is 5, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 spaces over. Yeah, we got that. It will probably be like a third. Someone asked me if we'll have more graphing test questions on the test. I will say it'll be about a third, because it's like a third of the class. But oftentimes, graphing questions are involving you rewriting it, like what we did here. Maybe I might say write into slope-intercept form, or write the equation. We're going to go into, yep, you can, Hamas, DJ. There is a lot of slopes on this, right? To find the slope here, it's going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. 0 minus -3 over -6 minus 5. Oh, -5, sorry. And that's going to be 3 over, that's a positive 5, -1, -3. Our slope equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you are creating a sheet of notes for the test, which you remember are allowed to do, you should write this the slope formula. Hopefully you memorized it already, but if you haven't, you can definitely write it. Now, this next question is determine if the two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Now, the trick was that if they're parallel, the slopes are the same. if they're perpendicular, the slopes are the reciprocal and negative. And if they're not parallel or perpendicular. Those are only two categories. So what's the slope for the first equation? Simply it's going to be 5. What's the slope for my second one? Well, that's solved for y. I'm going to divide 3 to both sides. Y is equal to 5x plus 18 over 3. Cool thing about here is that, well, my slope is 5 now. If they're both the slopes are 5, well, that means the lines are parallel. Now, you would have to show some work for this to receive credit, okay? Just to be aware of that, okay? Let's see what's the difference between these two lines. Okay, this one takes a little bit more work. Let's go ahead and solve for y here. If I minus 5x to both sides, that's the only thing I have to move. Y is equal to negative 5x plus 1. And this one's going to be a little same thing idea. Move the 5x over. Plus 5x to both sides. Y is equal to 5x minus 1. Now take a look at the slope. One slope is negative 5, one slope is 5. They're not parallel because they're not the same. And they're not perpendicular because though they're positive negative, it is not the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 5 is 1 over 5. And that will be a positive. Okay. So this is actually neither. And neither is perfectly fine to say. Let's look at our next question here. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you just hit pause and give yourself some time to think about it. Solving for y, we have y is equal to negative 4x plus 2. Over here we see, okay, that's going to take me a little bit more work. That's right, at 5x minus 20y equals to negative 4, minus 5x minus 5x, negative 20y equals to negative 5x minus 4. We can divide everyone by negative 20. Y is equal to positive 1 over 4x plus 1 over 5. Now look at the slopes between these problems. Look at the slopes between these problems. Negative 4, does that become a positive 1 over 4? Yep, that's what we got. So these are parallel, neither are perpendicular. They are going to be perpendicular. Okay, 3 more questions to go, folks. Now these are the hardest questions on there. Okay, these are the hardest questions. Write the equation that passes through point 6, negative 2, and is perpendicular to the line of the equation. Okay, so my equation here, my slope is going to be 2. And remember, to say perpendicular, we're going to say the new slope is negative 1 over 2. We're going to take that reciprocal and flip that sign. And we can use one of two ways. You can use y equals mx plus b. I'm going to do them both. Y is equal to mx plus b. Or you can do y minus y1 equals to m, x minus x1. Remember, the left one is my big brain way. My right one is my easier way. So they did give us the x and y point, x and y. So let's go plug in negative 3 is equal to negative 1/2 times x plus b. So we're looking for the b so we can rewrite this equation. 6 times 1/2. 1/2 of 6 is 3. And then we're going to add 3 to both sides. B is equal to 0. So when we rewrite the equation y equals mx plus b, y is equal to, we said negative 1/2 x plus 0. So just y is equal to negative 1/2. Let's see if we get the same answer over here on our left. Y minus 3, so minus minus is going to be a positive 3 to save ourselves some time. Our m is, we said it's going to be negative 1/2. And then x minus 6. All right, we're going to multiply the 1/2 across the negative. Y plus 3 is equal to negative 1/2 x. Negative is a positive, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Minus 3 to both sides. We still end up with that 0 at the end, and that's fine. Same equation on both sides. A lot of people did get these wrong on our test number 3. A lot of people. This was our hardest section, and it was our latest section, so make sure you do spend some time on this. The next question is asking if they're parallel. Parallel lines are when the slopes are the same. But the problem is I don't know what the slope is here. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. Negative 12x minus 10y equals to negative 360. I'm going to write this in slope-intercept form, solve for y, so we can figure out what our slope is. Since 12x and 360 are not like terms, we're going to write them separately. Negative 10y is equal to 12x minus 360. And we divide everyone by negative 10. Y is equal to negative 6 over 5. I'm going to reduce 12 and 10 to be 6 over 5. And I'm going to say 360 divided by 10 is just 36. But if it's parallel, all I care about is the 6 over 5. Honestly, that's all I care about. So we're going to take our new equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. And let's take our point. Negative 6 is equal to negative 6 over 5 times 5 plus b. Now, where did I get these values? Well, remember, here's my x and y, x's and y's, and that's why I put negative 6 here for my y and x is 5, and then I'm just copying my slope. So negative 6 is equal to the 5's divide out nicely, so we're left with negative 6 plus b plus 6 plus 6. Turns out they actually cancel out here. B is equal to 0. How nice. So y is equal to slope negative 6 over 5 x plus 0. Lucky for us, it's just 0. Just lucky here. It's not going to be 0 normally. All right. The last question is one of our easiest questions. Is consider the following graph of a system of equations. Tell me, where do these lines meet? Well, the answer here, the solution, is where they cross. And we did this in IXL a lot. The answer, the system is a point, so it's negative 4, comma 1. That's all they want you to write. Where do these lines meet? As easy as that. System of equations. And then the last part here, I'm sorry, that was really fast, right? Is that we have to draw these lines ourselves. Draw these lines ourselves. So we've been graphing lines this whole day. So y-intercept is 3 and the slope is 2. Rise 1, 2 over 1. And my next line is going to be negative 2 down here. But slope is negative 1 over 2. Eventually these lines will meet. Oh, darn it. Oops, sorry. These lines are eventually going to meet someplace. So where do they meet? I'm going to take one more step here and make my lines look a little prettier using my ruler here. Okay, and that's one line. Second line is over here. They look like they're a little bit off, but if you graph this on the test, it will be right on. And it looks like maybe negative 2 comma negative 1. Maybe. So let's go down and check it. If I plug in negative 2, negative 1 to my first equation, negative 1 is equal to 2 times negative 2 plus 3. That's negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Hey, that worked. Let's try the second equation. Negative 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times negative 2 minus 2. Let's see if this would also work. I don't know if it's going to work. That's negative 1, okay? So the 2's divide out, leaving me a positive 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Yep, negative 1 is equal to negative 1. Yep, we are a winner there. Bam. So the solution is negative 2 comma negative 1.